I think the save that Gordon made against Pele is perhaps the best save I've ever seen. Um, the reflex, the speed, the distance he travels to save the ball, and the way that he saves it, the way that the ball goes after his save. It's all it's all a very, very perfect save, um, and it's a beautiful save. It's a save that I can watch over and over again. And I spoke to Gordon Banks a few weeks back, and he said that he was truly proud of that save, and if I've made a save like that, I would have been as well. Well, I did make a save that was compared to that save in Vienna 2 years back, um, and it was compared. It was on television. They made graphics of the save. They put the two saves up next to each other and they compared it. And in my mind, there was no doubt that Gordon Banks' save was a far better save because he travelled, as I said, he travelled 6-7 yards to get to the ball where I was sort of standing in the same position, and I dived without really moving that far. But I think the most important save I've ever made was in the '92 European Championship final. Klinsmann had a shot where he turned. He had his back to the goal and he turned and shot, and it went across the face of the goal and went across me, and somehow I managed to get down and get a finger to that. And I think we were either just 1-0 up there, or just after that we were 1-0 up. But if he'd scored there, there's no doubt in my mind that we would have lost the game with 4 or 5 goals, because we were playing on resources that I didn't think at the time that we had. But because we were in the game at the time, we managed to pull through. Well, to be voted in the dream team is obvious. Is obviously something that makes you proud. That people think that you belong in the best 11 that you can put up in this present time. It makes me very proud, but it's not a thing that's going to get me carried away. I have my objectives for this season. Uh, I'm playing in so many competitions that the personal thing that's gone now. The personal ambitions and all the personal honours are not important to me. The important thing is that the teams that I play for and the competition that we play in, that we do well and we get points every time we play. So that is my main objective as a football player now. I don't know. I mean, I think a very, very important thing of being a goalkeeper is communication. That you can communicate with players in front of you. And I know people they always put it down to shouting and being big mouth and all that, but we do play in a lot of noise, and you have in order to make yourself known that you're there, you have to shout really loud. And if you can, direct the player uh, in the right direction in certain situations, let him know that that's a player about a yard or two behind him, and he can stop and mark that player so nobody can pass it to him. I think you've come a long way, and I think that's one of my strengths is that I have, the ability to, at the same time of keeping the concentration on my job, I I can still sort of direct the other players in the right direction, and give them little cues to where their opponents are. And I think that's the most important thing of being a goalkeeper, that you make sure the defence is up against their attackers. Being loud is very important, and I think for the team that I play in, Man United and Denmark, that the defence is so used to hearing me. They know exactly where I am, and it helps them if the ball comes in that particular direction. Well, they know that I'm there because they can hear me. It's not they have to turn around and see, is he coming? There's no doubt there. They know I'm there, and I think it's very important. And I mean, I don't shout to be loud or to be controversial or anything. I do that because it's part of my game. It's part of mm, making me keep my concentration. Um, and if you shout for 90 minutes and you sort of fired up for 90 minutes, uh, there's nothing left after the game. I mean, there's that, all your aggressions they're out, and I mean, there's not enough physique to keep going afterwards. So you become a very quiet lad, quiet man. Well, in one-to-one situations, I think it's important to have the upper hand, um, even before the player actually receives the ball. Uh, it's very important to be out to shut the goal down quickly, and to let the player that's up against you see your frame and not the goal. Um, I think by being out quick, you make them think. That means that you have you have that extra second, split second, or whatever it is, uh, to make your decision. Whereas if you wait for them, and or you see many goalkeepers, they rush out and they dive straight away, and it's so easy for the defenders to chip them. If you have a big frame and you come out quick, uh, and if you can make them think, just that split second, you'll save it nine times out of 10. And that's the thing. I mean, it's a thing that you can't work on that. You cannot really work on it. It's a thing that has to happen once, twice, three, four, 5 times within a very short spell of time, and then the press has to catch up on that, and it has to be a reputation. And suddenly you get that reputation, and then it really works to your advantage, because even you're out quick. They know, because they've prepared on that. They know that, well, he's out quick. He's got a big frame. You got to either finish quickly, and everything becomes rushed. So it's all a big mixture of being lucky in a few games and getting a reputation, and then taking your chances. Reflex saves are mostly down to luck. It's the only thing you sort of say, well, that's ability is where you are, your position in the goal. That's a thing that it's very, very difficult to train, practice that, because it comes with experience. If you've asked me that question 10 years ago, I would say, experience is not that important. Ability is more important. But today I can see what experience does to you. If you're in the right position at the right time, you've got a bigger chance of making reflex saves. Whereas if you were not in the right position, it takes more. So reflex saves are very much down to luck, and having good reflexes is part of being a goalkeeper. And I think every goalkeeper has good reflexes, because if they hadn't, they wouldn't play in goal. No, I mean, when I go up for corners, free kicks, the last couple of minutes in a game, it's usually because we need a result in that game. We won behind her. But what happens is, and the main idea is, I mean, I'm 6'4". It's not very likely, because I haven't got the practice or the skills of heading the ball. It's not very likely that I'll get the ball, but I can create some confusion, and it happens. It's happened quite a few times where we've either scored goals, but we've created chances of that. And that's the main idea. It is really to create confusion in their defence. They can be very well organised, They can pick Pally up, Macy up, Ronnie up, whoever's playing, and they put their big lads on our big lads, and suddenly, that's a 6'4" player that they haven't, it's not been mentioned in the team talk, and he's up against a 5 foot player. It creates that, hey, who's going to take him, and that confusion can now and again, create a chance, and that's why we do it. There is an explanation to why Denmark has never made the World Cup before 1986. Football was sort of a thing that people did after work, and it was never appreciated as a very important thing. It was important for the country when the national team played, but it wasn't until 5 years before '86, maybe just at the turn of the '80s, that every international game that Denmark played was broadcasted live. So it wasn't that important, and it was all because of we had one television station, and their news broadcast was at 7:30 in the evening, and they would never move it, and that was when the national side played. So it was not appreciated as a very important thing, and the first division that time only attracted like 2 or 3 thousand people for every game. So football wasn't a big thing. It wasn't a trend, and it's completely changed now. What happened was that Denmark they went out and got a German coach, Sepp Piontek, who came and he altered the whole meaning of football in Denmark. And he took over in '79 and he qualified for the European Championship in '84, and that was the first time Denmark ever qualified for a major tournament. And from then on, he qualified every year. '86, as you said, for the World Cup. He made Danish football players believe that they could win football games. He made all the players who played abroad, he made them come home. Because when it was nice for players abroad to come home and play internationals, because it gave them a trip to Denmark. They weren't really bothered about the game. It was coming home that was important, and he changed all that. And he built a great team, and the '86 team was a fantastic team, and they did really well in the World Cup. They ended up losing to Spain 5-1 in a game that they probably shouldn't have lost, but that was that's the way it goes in football nowadays. I think it was the first game after the group games, and unfortunately, because I thought they could have gone a long way, but they were unlucky. They had a few injuries in that game, and they had 2 key players suspended, and I think that was the key to them losing that game. But then again, he qualified again for the European Championships in '88, and then that was a time when I came in the picture, and the team that he built was sort of burned out at that time, and we lost 3 games. And then we didn't qualify again for a World Cup until this year, and we've been very unlucky. It was all the qualifying went down to the last game as a group, and we were all. First time was in 1990. We were away to Romania, and we've beaten them 4 weeks previously. We beat them 3-0, and we played them off the park. And we came down, and it was the same 11 players, and I've never ever seen a change in the team like that. They beat a 3-1, and it could have been 10, and we were winning a lot as well. We needed a draw in that game, so they qualified, we didn't. And same story happened in the qualification for the United States World Cup. We lost the last game in Spain, 1-0. We were 11 against 10 for 85 minutes. They had the goalkeeper sent off after 5 minutes. We still couldn't score, and that was, I think when we look back, we weren't probably good enough to qualify, but being so close, we always thought we were. We always thought we were capable of, qualifying. This time around, I think that we really have been good enough. We've been in one of the hardest qualification groups. We played against Bosnia, Greece, Slovenia, and Bosnia. And Bosnia was our, lowest seeded team, and they beat us 3-0, fair and square, in Bosnia. And the group was really hard, but we managed to win, and we're very proud of that. And now we're in the World Cup, and we hope to do really well there. It was a sad sight there, no doubt about that. You looked at the buildings there. There was not one building that wasn't affected of the war, and every park, even outside the football ground, I think there used to be football pitches. It was all graveyards. But as a footballer, you go to places that you go to places like that. You prepare yourself for the worst scenario. That's what you think you're going to see, the worst scenario, and you come down and you see people are happy, and that makes you. It eases it up a bit, People are very happy there. It's a long time since I've been to a place where people are that happy, and they get on with life, and if that affects you, that the surroundings are like that as a footballer, well, you should be ashamed, because the people who live there, they lived through the war as well, and they were happy and they got on with their life. So it initially went, because Bosnia was going to play all their games in Bologna, when they changed the rule, they changed that, FIFA changed it so um, we were going to play in Sarajevo. Initially, I wasn't happy with that because I thought it was unfair because Croatia had already at that time played away in Bologna to Bosnia, and that was an advantage for them. Um, but having qualified and gone through that game and having been there, I was very happy because I thought I contributed to the rehabilitation of that country because we went there and played a football game, and the language of football is universal, and it's more important that a football team go there and play a game than all the world's leader. They go there and make political speeches. So I was very happy with that after qualifying. Well, against Greece, again, the third time in 3 attempts, I went down to the last game in the qualification group, playing away from home, needing a draw. Um, but I've played Greece in Copenhagen. They were not a bad team, far from it. But they needed to win, and I thought before the game that, well, they will be putting pressure on us, and that's to our advantage because we can break out. Then with the loud drops and all that, we can break out and we'll score goals here. And I thought that as the game went on, that they would tire up and get frustrated and all that. But I must say, I was so surprised to see how well organised they were, and they kept going from the first to the very last minute. And they had 2 great chances. One on a free kick, which was headed, and it hit my foot and hit the post and was cleared off the line. And in the very last minute of the game, that was 1-on-1 against me. And I just tried to make my frame as big as possible, and it hit me fortunately and went wide. And those 2 moments were very, very scary. But having qualified and having made safe like that, it makes it all. It makes it twice as good as just qualifying. When you've been such a massive part of it, that was fantastic. What was the best part of it was the third time that we've gone under similar circumstances to play a game like that, and we've pulled through this time. We've actually proved to the world, proved to ourselves that we could do it. I don't know if there's any extra pressures on goalkeepers in the World Cup. I wouldn't have thought so. Um, I've played 3 European Championships, and in my case anyway, I enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I think playing in those competitions, that is what you work so hard for. You work so hard to get there. You work so hard in order just to get in the squads to play the games. And every day you work really hard, and those games, they are the bonus of all your hard work. It's so hard to get in the squads, and you can look around and see how many good players there are in the world, and some of the players are left out, and you don't understand why they're left out, but that's because it's so hard. And if you get a chance to play these games, well, it's all about enjoying them, and not feeling the pressure. I think feeling the pressure is just going to make you nervous, and it's going to mess it all up. Playing for Denmark obviously is sort of the highlight of the whole thing. Um, I'm enormously proud of playing for United, and I love playing for United, and I couldn't see myself playing anywhere else. But I really enjoy playing for Denmark, and that's sort of the icing on the cake. And regards to being Danish, what that means, we are a small people. We only 5 million. We're a small nation. We're only 5 million people. We have our own personality, which I don't agree with always. But I don't think we have. I don't think we put too much into being Danish because we've been used to, for years and years, generations after generations, not to be able to afford that, because we have to sort of the British are 60 million, Germans are 60 million as well. We're surrounded by countries with loads of people, and they're sort of dominating the territorium. So we're just a small people, and we're probably one of the most international nations in Europe, which is that's the thing that makes me proud. We're like the Dutch as well. That's a small country as well in the centre of Europe, and they are international because they're forced to be international, and I think we are as well. We know about the world. We travel the world, and we are not afraid to move. We're not afraid to go somewhere and live for a year or 2 or 10 or whatever. And that's the thing that makes me proud. That we're an open people. We're not afraid to pick up things and learn things from other people and other cultures, and we take things on. And that makes me proud. That's very important to me.